Have you ever written an essay to yourself? Maybe say this slightly different. Lots of us solve for money, but do we solve or think about life by design? Folks, there's a matrix. And if you are not careful, it will consume you and it will bring down the volume of your inner self. We've got to have this conversation. And something I think Dylan just did is he wrote an essay to himself. I want to break it down, ask why he did that. And more importantly, what are some things we can learn from this exercise? Dylan, you're amazing, man. You're always years, if not decades ahead. What the heck is a 25-year-old doing writing an essay to himself? Tell me about it.
Yeah, I appreciate the intro there. Gosh, I feel like we have so much like stuff going on in our head, and I don't think we spend enough time trying to actually sort out what's going on. I think we have a lot of thoughts, and I think they're really powerful. I think you can, if you reflect, you can make the most of bad situations. I think you can make even like better situations even better. I think it can help you make better decisions. Also build frameworks around like what's working, what's not, because when you go and reflect, a couple of years from now, you'll be able to see when you were, when you're hitting homers or when you're getting hit in the face by the ball, and you can see what you were doing. And so I've been pretty reflective. I started out doing audio journals a few years ago, and then it's kind of just led into whenever I have these like when I feel very passionate about something, and passion could be like angry or it could be excited. It could be something like where I feel a really big feeling. I try to take time for myself and just let me write like stream of consciousness. So I don't put any
Nice.
guardrails on what it's supposed to be. So and then I'll go in and I'll retitle it. So that's kind of what I've been doing the last few months. And so anyways, all that to be said, that's why I do it. I think it makes me a better person. It makes me have better decisions too. All that to be said, this one I wrote honestly came from just like frustration. As some of the listeners might know that's been tuned into our segment, and I'm in a little bit of a transition period, being that I'm separating from the business I built with my dad, and I'm still doing real estate, but I'm just going to be doing it in a different way. And so my goal is to ladder up, the skills and change the vehicle that I'm doing and make this a little bit where it makes a little bit more sense. So all that to be said, I think part of it for me last year, I think I've always kind of known that I wanted to separate from my dad. And it was amicably, but what I was doing is because there was a small little voice. Like I knew I would do yoga sometimes, and I would for the first time in a while, I'm not plugged in, I'm not scrolling, I'm not like listening to something, I'm not talking to somebody, I'm not filling my time with inputs. So I was actually present with myself. And what would happen is this quiet little voice would tell me, say, hey, you need to take the jump. Right. And this started probably when I broke my back about a year ago, because all this momentum stopped and I had to take 3 weeks to be by myself. And then I would just keep doing all the things I was doing. Right. But the problem is it was just a little bit different. And so this little voice was going on. Anyways, I finally start to actually get into my head and start to think. And then it started making me realize what I was doing, because I was ignoring the voice that was in my head. I was medicating myself. And when I was medicating myself was just with things that were like pleasure seeking, whether it was like going out with some friends or having an extra beer when I should have stopped at 2. Like it was, little things like that, scrolling on social media and just really pleasure seeking and attached to more of my vices than I usually would have been. And I think for me, it came down to, and this is kind of what the whole essay is about, is I kind of lost a little bit of meaning. I lost meaning in the work that I was doing, because I knew I wanted to do something else, at least ladder up my skills in a different way within real estate. And so there's a quote from Viktor Frankl that I wrote in the essay that says, a man without meaning fills his idle time with pleasure. And that's kind of where I was at. And so I started to channel that feeling, because I think sometimes feeling a really big feeling can be helpful. I'm someone that tends to ignore it, but I think using that, it can be good to get you to be motivated. I think you use whatever feeling you have. So I got really mad at the system. And so that's where I chose to channel the energy. So what that means for me is like, I think the system wants us numb, right? Like you hop on social media and it's incredibly addictive. Like it's like a slot machine that's in your pocket, right? And so anytime you pull it out, even though it's very addictive, it's also trying to keep you divided. And so I think it keeps us angry. I think it keeps us confused. I think we're constantly misled. Not only that, we have the most palatable foods that we've ever had in our life. And I think you no longer have to like worry about, cooking and stuff, because things are easy to eat and they're super tasty. And if you're not mindful of it, you'll start to get overweight. And it's like, instead of like being bored for the first time and like actually taking time to think about it's like you carry around the slot machine in your pocket, right?
Yeah.
So, these are just some examples. I think if we constantly do that, what it does is it numbs down our frequency, right? If we're constantly like this, and we're constantly like this, and we're constantly not chasing after the things that we actually find meaningful, we'll find ourselves a couple years down the line and numb. Because I don't know, I know for myself, maybe there's a viewer on the other side of this screen that finds relatability in this, but like if I'm on social media for 2 hours, I don't even remember what I watched. It's genuinely like I time traveled. And
Yeah.
imagine that over the course of like a year, it's like how much like I think that there's a like, and I'm just using this to be angry, to use a feeling to actually chase our goals, but like if the system wants us numb, like, yeah, we're not going to ask questions anymore. We're not going to try to provide for ourselves anymore. We're not going to do the things that we know we need to do. And so that's kind of what this whole essay is about, just about the opposition. I think there's a lot of us that, go through hard times. And I think a lot of us that fall into this trap of just chasing, or pleasure seeking. And I think a lot of that comes down to not having a big enough why and not having something that really fucking, excuse my language, but really fucking excites you and gets you out of bed. And I can tell you this, I'm literally just for the viewers, like I've done a lot in real estate for my age. I've raised $5 million. I've done over 40 flips. I have a couple rentals. Like I've had a very fruitful. The reason I'm saying this, I'm literally couch surfing right now, and I don't care because it's not like I need to. I just want to. And then the whole thing is I'm just following my curiosity and listening to the source because I cut out all the distractions. And so now it's like I'm so excited. I'm still working every day, but my work is a little bit different. I'm very intentional. But you can probably hear in the passion I have in my voice is like I don't have that voice anymore. That's quiet. I turned up the volume of the voice that was inside. I turned down the volume of my vices. I'm not drinking anymore. I put my phone in the other room when I'm doing stuff. Like these are the things you have to do to actually be able to listen. So, anyways, all that to be said, I kind of went on a fucking rant there. I don't know if you have.
No, I love it. That passion is important, man. It's something that I love to see in people. I don't think we have enough of it, to your point, but I want to go back to this essay because I think there's more of us that need to do this. So I want to talk about the intention. Was the essay more about you writing to your future self, or was it just more acknowledging where you are today and the fact that you're not happy? What was the kind of tone of the essay?
It's funny. It took two different perspectives in it. So it's both. If you're the reader, there's two voices that are happening. It's one that's talking to myself. So it's pretty evident that it's talking to myself. And then the other one is it's talking to more of a plural reader, right? So you.
Okay.
So I'm both talking to them and I'm talking to myself.
Right.
For me, it was just kind of bottling up how I felt. It was kind of like taking this anger that I was feeling and kind of just documenting in real time, kind of putting it in a bottle and understanding like why and what this voice was that I was like trying to listen to, what it was saying. So that's kind of what and in the shape that it took was just me, talking about how we're.
I think that's wonderful. Again, this. I think most of the audience knows this. I took on a new challenge this year to write something every day, and just the act of writing, even just short, 500-word posts, making it a purpose. It's freeing because there's just something different, right? I am clearly comfortable on video, right? 16, 17,000 videos, but I suck at writing. And writing is it's a different vehicle, right? It hits you different. And, what am I now? 20 days in. So I've done 20 posts and I'm having a blast.
It's fun.
It's fun. Right. Yeah. And again, I still suck at it, but it's getting easier and easier every day. Yeah. So I recommend more people, take the time to like, if you feel like you're stuck or you feel like you're behind, take a minute, get quiet, remove the distractions and just write a letter to yourself, get it all out, just put it all on paper. And like you say, don't have guardrails, get it out. And then, go back later if you want to structure it or something. But yeah, free writing is fun, man.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you're doing that too. And I think that's the beauty of what you're doing. It's like, you're not putting any expectation that it needs to be anything. I think that's real art. If you have an outcome attached to it, it's not going to be as good as it could be if you just let it flow the way it's supposed to, the way that you just need to express it right then and there. That's what I think is art. I would like to, if you don't mind, I have like a short little segment that people will find a lot of solace in. So the thing that I think that we need to come back and hijack is our attention, right? Where we're moving as a society is like the biggest, and Michael, I'm sure you can attest to this. one of the biggest resources that you can learn to capture right now is attention. And so everyone else is trying to get your attention. If you look at all of the most successful people, like the world's richest people, they have some type of media that they own. Musk with X, they have, Rockefeller with NBC back in the day. You have, Zuck with Facebook and Instagram. So all of these people, they see the value, the world's smartest and richest people see the value in having attention, and your attention specifically. So we need to take that back and weaponize it, in my opinion. So going into it, I'm saying if you don't choose, the world will sing you a lullaby. Delusional self-belief, the courage to be embarrassed, and consistent action over a long enough time horizon results in a life worth writing about. FaceTime, television, planes, cars, and artificial intelligence all exist because a crazy person said it could. Prior to 1954, a 4-minute mile was thought to be impossible until a delusional person named Roger believed he was the person to break it. And 2 months later, it was done again. But we're not trying to break the 4-minute mile. The thing is you can quite literally will things into existence, but you're too scared to fail. In fact, I don't think we're afraid to fail. I think we're afraid of people seeing us fail. So we're not afraid of failing, but being embarrassed. I've done what I've done since I was 20. And there's a voice in my head that's telling me to take the leap. So the world is changing, and you can change with it if you're brave enough to do it. And so anyways, what my point is I think a lot of us, I think there's 3 things that you genuinely need to be successful. I think it's, you need to be crazy enough to say that I can do this thing. And if you're not trying to, it's not like it's an impossible feat. People that, like, the 4-minute mile was impossible. FaceTime exists. The fact that you and I can have this conversation and people can see it, and I can see what you're saying, I can see the noises that you're making from your mouth in real time, and I understand it, is a crazy thing. I can't even explain that. But you're telling me you can't buy a property? You're telling me that's not possible? Yeah. Like, those things exist, and I can't explain those things. And so if you're crazy enough, because you have to be crazy, if you're crazy enough to really believe that you can do it, right? And then you can cut out the distractions, so you limit that from yourself. This is all I'm doing. You give yourself a long enough time horizon of consistent action over time, and you have courage to be embarrassed. I think it's an underutilized emotion. If you're willing to be embarrassed and you don't care, then it's just a matter. I'm sure you guys can feel it. It's genuinely a matter of time. All of my most successful friends, Michael Zuber included, are insanely obsessed about just being better at the thing that they want to do. If you are obsessed and you're crazy enough to believe it can work, and you don't stop over a long enough time horizon, and you don't care what people think, you're unstoppable. It is literally a matter of time. And the more that you do, the faster it gets.
Yeah. I mean, there was one phrase in that writing of yours. First off, you're a wonderful writer, so kudos to you. That's a gift you have. But you're absolutely right. I don't think anybody's really afraid of, failing. They're afraid of being embarrassed.
1,000%.
And that embarrassment is holding so many people back. Let me just tell you, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. Just go for it, right? And the thing that I would tell you, having failed thousands of times in my life, is you have to reorient failure. Failure is not failure. Failure is feedback. It's feedback. It's telling you to do something different. It's a lesson. So if you just a lot of life, in my opinion, is reorienting things. It's like, okay, this is feedback. What could I do different? What could I do wrong? What this, what that? And as long as you take it as feedback, it just makes you stronger. You get better. And that's a life worth living.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's like there's in a podcast I was listening to recently, there's a quote that I just keep repeating in my head over and over again. And he says, if your life were a movie and the audience were watching, what would the audience be telling you to do?
What would they be screaming at you to do?
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen that one.
Yes. Yeah. And I think if we can be more mindful and change the frame and how we're choosing to look at things, and we actually listen to the voice that's inside of us, I think a lot of us would be a lot farther off, or a lot closer to what we're trying to do, and a hell of a lot more happy and a hell of a lot more motivated, because we're actually chasing the thing that we are. Like, it's all in us. We all have that voice. Yeah. We just have to listen to it.
Yeah, I love it, man. This is such a fun conversation, folks. Do yourself a favor, write an essay to yourself, especially if you feel stuck or behind. It could really be an unlock for you. It will just be really telling your inner voice, right? Raise the volume on the inner voice, tune down the volume on the external voices, and you will be in a better place. Dylan, where can people find you?
Yeah. Instagram's going to be the easiest place. Dillionaire321 should be right there next to
I will put it on the screen. 1 second. I'm getting there. There it is. There it is. Right there, folks. Instagram. Do me a favor today when you watch this. Go to Instagram, look up Dillionaire321. Just send him a quick note. Say thank you for coming on or at One Rental at a Time. Also, he's going to be in our Vegas event, folks. If you are a part of school, you can watch it streamed. Or if you're going to be in Vegas, make sure you say hi. He's amazing. Thanks, buddy. Take care.
Absolutely. Take care.